and welcome to Growing Gardens at Home. I'm Chef Carly, and today in my home kitchen we're going to make easy oat milk. And it's right like it sounds. There's nothing that you need to do ahead of time. There's a lot of different ways to make oat milk, so we can talk about some of those variations as well. But with the ingredients that I have here at home, it's easy to do the easy version because I have rolled oats. And here are the equipment and ingredients that you're going to need to follow along. So half a cup of rolled oats, 1 medjool date, and you want to make sure that's pitted and chopped. We've got 2 cups of filtered water, half a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and a pinch of sea salt, and then a fine mesh strainer or sieve, and that looks like this, really fine holes. If you don't have one of those, you can use cheesecloth and line like a bigger colander with larger holes, and that's another way to do it. A lot of oat milks, well, a lot of non-dairy milks that you make in general, you typically with a nut milk really squeeze it and push it through. And this version of oat milk, you're not going to put much pressure or weight on it. You're going to let it naturally drain. So it's not as necessary to have that cheesecloth this time around. Now, if you're making this recipe with steel cut oats, which are a harder hull to the oat, you're going to want to soak those overnight in filtered water in your refrigerator, drain them, and then do the recipe. So I love the quick oats only because, well, 2 reasons. That's just what we have in the house. We go through a lot of oats in our house, and that's an easy oatmeal to make. And it's also, in particular, I like to buy Bob's Red Mill gluten-free oats. So one reason I like to make oat milk at home is that a lot of the ones out on the market aren't certified gluten-free. So the oats aren't made with gluten by themselves in the way they grow. They can also they can often be contaminated in the fields, or where they're processed, there can actually be contamination in that process because they're shared equipment that might always not be cleaned thoroughly. So things to be aware of, but it's nice when you're home and you have the power to use your own ingredients and make it the way you want it. All right, so I do have a Ninja blender here today. If you have a Vitamix, that works really well. Any high-powered blender, you want to get a good kind of blend of everything together. I'm going to grab the date from my fridge, and we're going to chop these things up and add them together. And so the other thing I do like about this version of the recipe is that there isn't stages to it. You can really put everything together in the blender, mix it all together. I have my little setup here, but strain it into a mason jar, whatever works best for you, and it's ready so quickly. So I just took the pit out of the date, so now it's just 2 pieces here. If you didn't have a date, in these times we might not have all the ingredients we want to use at all times. Maple syrup works great. You could even use honey. I'm just going to chop this up to give it a little head start once it gets in the blender and evenly incorporates. And I thought this could be a fun recipe right now where we're not shopping as frequently as we used to always do. I don't know about you, but I would often go to the grocery store every day and just get the few ingredients I wanted, fresh produce, whatever I felt inspired to make that day. And now we're planning in such longer time frames and not always knowing what we might be making or what we might need. So milk, this one's kind of handy if you run low on milk and it doesn't make sense to go back to the grocery store quite yet. This is a great filler to just have and be able to enjoy in a different way. It's still very creamy and satisfying and tasty. Oat milk's become quite popular recently, and if you have a nut allergy, it's a really great alternative as well. All right, so I'm just going to add, so I put the date in there. Now we're adding our rolled oats. And we've got a pinch of salt. I like to use sea salt, and you can be a little more generous if you like the saltiness with a little bit of kind of sweet and salty together. The vanilla and the date give it a sweetness. And if you like a little kind of zing to it, you can also add cinnamon or nutmeg, things like that go really nice in the milk as well. And if you were going to use this for a savory purpose, maybe you're making some kind of vegan mac and cheese or something like that, you could definitely leave out the vanilla and the date and just process this without any additional flavor so that you could keep it neutral for your recipes. I'm putting in the vanilla. And then we've got 2 cups of filtered water. And it's as easy as that. We're gonna blend this for 25 seconds. So we don't want to go too crazy and blend it for too long, because then it's gonna get really thick. And actually, part of why we don't blend it too long, and also why we don't press it once it's in the strainer, is because there's actually like a gelatinous bit to oatmeal, and if you get too much of that into the milk, then it is a little more of a maybe slimy consistency that wouldn't be desirable. So there's kind of a little balance to not overdoing it with the high power blender. So we're going to do 25 seconds, and I'm just going to count as we do it. And you're going to see that it still has, you know, a separation between liquid and particles. It's not entirely smooth. Doesn't need to be, because we're straining it. And you can just take out your blade. You won't be needing that. And then, it smells so good. I love the vanilla and milk together in there. I have my own little setup here that I almost just knocked over, but basically I like to use a funnel. If you have a funnel, it just keeps it going easily into the place where you want it to go and not spill all over the place. And then my sieve, I have to kind of balance it on something, so I'm using a water bottle just as the other end. Sometimes you just don't have enough hands in the kitchen. And then we're literally going to just pour this into here and through the funnel, and let it just start dripping right into the jar. And I'm trying to see here if I can pour and hold the camera here to show what's happening. And I'm just pouring slowly so that it doesn't go outside of that funnel. And you can do it into a bowl as well. I actually have a bowl that the jar is in case I did pour it over and not want to flood out my kitchen. And you're going to see that the two things do separate quite a bit. Now, the one thing I love about this easy recipe is there is a way to just embrace it and not waste anything. And so what I like to do is actually save the part of the puree that's this thicker bit, right? And what you can do with that is a couple different things. If you're a smoothie person, it's super awesome to put in smoothies. I'm actually going to dump it right out into a pan here. And what I like to do with it is actually just repurpose it in a bowl of oatmeal and reuse it. So I won't waste any bit of this. And it has the chopped up date pieces in it, so it's already sweetened and delicious. And I really just add a little more oat milk and reheat it very, very quickly. Sometimes I even do some blueberries, frozen blueberries, that gives it a little more liquid as you're reheating it. So I'm just really gently gonna tap this around and get the last bits of liquid there, but I'm not pressing, I'm not going hard, just getting that to strain nice and beautifully. And then again, this kind of sediment bit we're gonna save. And I'll mix in fun things like dried cherries, chopped almonds, sunflower seeds, things like that, just to give it a little more texture as well. But you'll see it's a little, you know, because it's pureed up, it's a little bit already incorporated, like it looks almost like it's already been cooked. So you can really, it's almost like an overnight oat type of thing, but fun to reheat. All right, so we then remove the funnel. You'll see the beautiful milk in the jar here. Now, one thing to remember is that you are not adding any emulsifiers. You're not adding anything that's a binder. This is so pure and so fresh. So when you put this in your refrigerator, as time passes, you're going to see a separation. So you're going to see that there is actually oats kind of like more of a particle still in here, and it will settle to the bottom some, the denser part, and the lighter liquid on the top. And all you need to do is give it a great shake before you serve it. And that's why I like to do this mason jar top. So as soon as you pull it out of your fridge, you can shake it up, pour it into your coffee. I don't know if you can see out my windows, but today is April and super snowy out. This is so typical for Colorado weather, but I feel inspired to make hot chocolate. I think that that might be what I do with this, and I will share that recipe, the easy oat milk and also a hot chocolate recipe online. We post all of our recipes at growinggardens.org on our blog, so you'll be able to find it there. And I thank you for watching today. Come back next week, we'll be doing something else fun in the kitchen. Have a great day.